Good day, everyone. In this video, we are going to use cosine to solve for a missing side. But before we write down the trig ratio for cosine, we are going to label our sides and correctly identify them so that we're sure that the cosine ratio is the correct one to use here. And to begin, we're going to look at the right angle. And when we look at the right angle, we realize that the side across from the right angle, the side that we're trying to find, is the hypotenuse. And we're also given a reference angle of 38 degrees. Now, right next to that reference angle, or adjacent to that reference angle, is the side that's given. So we'll label that as the adjacent side. And when we look at the triangle here, the right angle triangle, we realize that we're dealing with the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. So the cosine ratio is the correct or appropriate trig ratio to use to solve for x in this triangle. So the cosine ratio, cosine of the angle that we're given, or cosine of the angle that we're trying to find, is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And for us, we're given the angle. We're given the reference angle of 38 degrees. So in our trig ratio, we'll go from the information in the diagram into the trig ratio, which means that we replace theta with 38, and the adjacent side we'll replace with 8, and the hypotenuse we'll replace with x, because that's what we're trying to find. Now for us, our next step is to come up with a decimal approximation for cosine of 38. And we can use a graphing calculator or any calculator to do that. So when we put that in a calculator, we get a value of 0.7880. And we'll report this to 4 decimal places. And that's equal to 8 over x. Now from here, we're going to look at equivalent fractions, meaning we're going to put a 1 in the denominator here. And now we're going to be able to use cross multiplication to help us solve or isolate x. So 1 times 8 is equal to 8, and 0.7880 times x is 0.7880 times x. Now, we'd like to get x all by itself. What's in the way? What's in the way is 0.7880. And between 0.7880 and x is a multiplication operator. So if we want to get rid of 0.7880 in front of x, we have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is divide. And an equation, of course, is like a balance. If we do something to one side of the equation, we have to make sure we do it to the other to maintain balance. So we'll divide both sides of the equation by 0.7880. And when we do that, we realize that 0.7880 divided by 0.7880 is equal to 1. And 1 times x is equal to x. And from there, if we take 8 and divide it by 0.7880, we're going to get an answer approximately equal to 10.2. And because our sides are measured in meters, our units would be in meters. Now, does this answer of 10.2 make sense? Is it correct? Well, if we look at that we're trying to find the hypotenuse by definition is the largest side in a right angle triangle. So we just found a measurement for the hypotenuse that's bigger than the side of 8 meters, which is given. So the fact that we've got a larger value makes sense, and our answer of x equal to 10.2 meters is correct.